All right, yo, what's going on, y'all? It's A1 Andre, finally coming back with another video on this channel. Now, for those that watched my last video, I appreciate y'all for watching that video, of course, as I always say. But this time around in this video, what we talking about is something that has been talked about a while ago, which I'm just now getting to, and that is, of course, the large amount of info that 2K dropped on their Twitter, well, via their Twitter, which is where I saw it at first, which was road to NBA 2K26 actual roadmap, actual schedule that they put out or whatever, because as a lot of y'all watching this video know by now, 2K put out a road to 2K actual schedule for the game and like game modes, and they talked about it and all that stuff. So anyway, as y'all know, most of y'all, the man Stacks alongside Evan, I'm guessing guys that Stacks I think used to work for 2K and I think he got rehired or something like that. Regardless, Stacks and Evan from 2K was going over the actual roadmap for 2K coming out, and I'm not gonna go over in this video everything that they talked about in that roadmap. My main focus points in this video was going over 3 different game modes, or I guess you could say 3 different changes that are coming to 2K26. So the main things from this actual roadmaps live stream with Stacks and Evan I want to talk about is, number 1, the change to my career, and there's some changes in there as y'all all saw. Number 2, that one change to gameplay, and then last but not least, of course, the my part makeover. All right, so those are the 3 talking points that's gonna be in this video, for those of y'all that want to know what y'all get into before y'all continue watching this video. And before I continue and get into all that, I'm gonna say it right now, if you're new, leave a like, hit that sub button, all that good stuff. And also, if you're still watching right now, comment W. W for me uploading a long time again. But with that being said, y'all, let's get into the first talking point, which is, of course, nonetheless, in my opinion, the least important out of the 3, which is, of course, talking about my career. Now, if you saw the live stream itself with Stacks and Evan, you would know that they said that in my career, there's going to be a change made to where now you actually have a choice between getting drafted or not getting drafted. And I'm going to just go ahead and play the live stream clip right here so y'all can hear it. So here's the clip.
So this year, you can be drafted based on your performance and how well you fit each team, or you could also bet on yourself. You can pick a team to do a private workout for and try to convince them to draft you instead. So the decision is up to you whether you want to get drafted or pick your team. And I think it's a pretty nice solution to that feedback where we saw both ends, people who wanted to get drafted and people who wanted to pick their team. Now you can do what you want.
All right, now as you just heard, Evan told us that now we have a choice on whether or not you can get drafted or just pick a team. I think that's a really good move for 2K because of the fact that it appeals to both sides of the audience. Kind of like how I was saying in another video about how they should appeal to both sides with having a casual slider and a range slider. I said like 2K22 possibilities for like gameplay. But anyway, they're appealing to both sides of people that want to get drafted, people that don't want to get drafted. Now, me personally, I'm not as much as a my career hit as I used to be, but I still will play my career and have fun with it as long as it has a good story and not cringe, and as long as it's somewhat more fun than it's been in recent years. So I think this is a solid move for them, and also it gives a better sense of immersion, and it makes it a little bit more realistic, because if you're a better player, like how you see, for example, what's that dude named that just got drafted from Duke? What, Cooper? That Cooper kid? I'm pretty sure he had an option of where he wanted to play, like in terms of he can tell his agent, tell this team I want to get a workout with them, or tell this team, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just assuming that the higher prospects in the draft can have a little bit more control over where they go. So if you're a better player, make your player be like a player that's not really a offensive player for that actual team. Then the team is looking for an offensive player, they might not draft you. So basically what I'm saying is it gives you a better option on, it's more realistic when it comes to where you go in the NBA draft if you want to do that, or like I said, if you want to be more like a person that just don't really care that much. It appeals to both sides. W move in my opinion. They also talked about a little bit more in the actual my career as well. So I'll play that right now for y'all.
So this year, the dev team has spent time building out a full prelude story that is called Out of Bounds. Title of it? Now, we're not going to spoil how the story goes, of course, but what we can say is that there are now more consequences to the story games and your choices. So, for example, if you've got a game and your goal is to outshine your opponent, but you fail, your agent might not be able to get you the best opportunities because you didn't pass those objectives. So it makes things more interesting, and personally, every year, I still start with my career for at least a few hours before I go into multiplayer in this city and all that. So I'm excited.
I'm gonna just cut it off right there. Now, what I'm gonna say is, from what I heard, I think Spike Lee has a hand in the actual story like he did 2K16, which 2K16, a lot of people love that story. A lot of people hate it. Me, I'm in between. Now, I'm not hoping for a great story from Spike Lee this time around. I don't really care about the story being that bad or that good. I mean, the story needs to be good, yes, but that story don't got to be amazing to me. You know, if Spike Lee is writing the story again, then like that's cool. But what I wanted to say about this is when he said my career out of bounds and about how if you play well or play not well, then your agent will do X, Y, Z. What I'm hoping is this means that it could be like Detroit Become Human, kind of like a decision-based story mode, or like in the Quantum Dream games. Is that what it's called? The company that makes those games, Quantum Dream. How basically you can have one my career experience, and then you can answer the question differently in the QTE or quick time event, and then your friend can have a different experience. So if you answer a question like, do you want to come off the bench to help your team win, or do you think you're the star player? And then you pick come off the bench, your friend picks a different option. You and your friend have different cutscenes than each other. That'll be a cool thing that they can add into the game, you know, in terms of like, again, a dynamic decision-based story, which I don't think they've done that in 2K yet, I don't think. Basically like I said, Detroit Become Human type thing. If y'all play that game, that's a great game. But I'm hoping it's like that. But anyway, that's not what the main talking point of the my career portion of this video was. So let's get on to the next portion.
What we want to share is that one of the dev team's themes was ensuring a skill-based gameplay experience where you feel more in control and you feel that what you're doing on the sticks, on the controller, is more reflected by what you're seeing on your screen. And that is an overall theme. So you're going to feel it across shot outcomes, blocks, steals, loose balls, rebounds, and more across just how gameplay feels this year. Higher difficulties are going to play with green or miss jump shot timing. Now, when we say higher difficulties, that includes most competitive multiplayer modes that many of you all play. So in those modes, you're not going to see early or late releases going in on those difficulties, which I think is a very welcome news to many of you. Second thing, the shot meters and the dunk meters are both going to show you your green windows in 2K26. That was a point of feedback that came up a lot, and even as the year went on, I kept seeing that many weren't getting used to the new 2K25 shot meters, especially slashers. I gave that feedback a lot. So in 2K26, the meters are going to have the green windows again.
Okay, now first things first, I want to say is that my main point in bringing up gameplay was not to talk about the actual responsiveness when it came to controlling your players, because I know that was a big problem. People were talking about how they couldn't control the players that well and how it felt like it was unresponsive. And I said in the previous video that I thought that the reason why that was the case is because the pro play was supposed to be to where you should play like Tassino, because that's what the game with pro play in terms of gameplay from 25 was built off of. The game in 25, in my opinion, was built to where you should play with your player like Tassino, which is a real NBA player, because pro play is real NBA moves, which is why I thought the players were complaining about not being able to control their player, because the game was not built with pro play to be able to steady slide or glitchy dribble or dribble cancel and do all that stuff. That was just my opinion, but that's the first part of this. But what I wanted to talk about with gameplay was the green or miss. Now with green or miss, the reason why I want to talk about gameplay over the actual control of gameplay was because of the whole RNG problem in 25. This is big to me because having your green window back should eliminate RNG, I'm thinking, or at least I'm hoping. As long as RNG is gone, because in my opinion, in terms of shooting in a 2K game, shooting in a 2K game cannot be any worse than RNG. I believe 2K21 was the only bad 2K when it came to shooting, and I don't think 2K21 on the previous generation consoles had RNG shooting, but the green window was so small in that game that that was considered one of the worst shooting 2Ks of all time. In my opinion, it was also one of the worst, but 2K25 was the worst shooting 2K of all time in my opinion because of RNG. And 2K21 old gen, when it came to like having a neighborhood in that game, that version with Damian Lillard on the cover, that version of the game also had bad shooting, but it did not have RNG, I don't think. So with the green window being back in 2K for 2K26, I'm thinking the shooting mechanics at worst will be similar to 21 for the old gen, which isn't as bad as 25 for PS5 Series X in my opinion. But as long as they make the shooting not like 21 old gen when it comes to your green window being the way it was, but just make it a little bit bigger, but still have, you know, a skill gap in there, it'll be great. I think 2K19 and 2K20 had good skill gaps with shooting, in my opinion. I think 2K20 had the best shooting when it comes to a skill gap, because in 19 everybody can shoot, but in 20, so basically in my opinion, as long as the shooting's like 2K20 with a green window, I'm fine with it. But that's all I want to talk about with actual gameplay. If y'all want to see the whole video and y'all don't want to see me keep pausing this and all that stuff, then I'll leave it in the description down below with a link. So anyway, that's it for the gameplay portion. On to the last portion. Let's go.
We want to get you on the court faster. So this year in 2K26, without showing you the city, because we can't do that just yet, how I would describe it is it's even more intimate, it's even more accessible, and you can get wherever you want to go, really quickly to further build on that big shift last year. So if you've heard the words the city come up before and you thought about that really big map with streets and turns everywhere, that is not how the city is now. And I think you're going to really like the one in 2K26.
So off the bat, what I wanted to say is, in my opinion, I thought 2K25 City was way better than 24 in terms of size downscale, because I didn't have a problem with 25 city size. I thought it was a lot smaller than 24 and 23 and 22 and 21 was the biggest. Pause. I thought the 2K25 City wasn't that big. Like, I can get, all the stores, to my knowledge, was, on one strip. The stuff that people wanted to use the most, which was the affiliations, was in one strip. The clothing stores, the swags, well, it wasn't called swags, I don't think, but it was all, in one strip, I thought. Personally, I didn't have a problem with 25 city size. I mean, I thought I was wrong, though. 26, they're going to be making it even smaller. So my theory is, I'm already thinking I know what 2K26 City going to look like. I'm thinking 2K26 City is going to look more like 2K19, 2K20 neighborhood. Because in my opinion, that's like the GOAT neighborhood or the GOAT format or layout in terms of a part for us. Because not only me, but a lot of people in the community love 2K19, 2K20 neighborhood. Everything was in like a big circle. The courts was surrounded by all the stores you needed. In my opinion, how could you make it much smaller than 25? 2K19, 2K20. Like, how much smaller can you make it? That's the perfect size for me. I guess 2K15, 16 with like the Sunset Beach or whatever, because that was cool too, in my opinion. But I think 2K19 and 2K20 were like the perfect part sizes and the perfect part layout. They're probably gonna go back to something like that, most likely. And as long as they have that same type of format and also theme of the actual neighborhood, because 2K19, 2K20 neighborhood was actually realistic. And speaking of realistic, they actually spoke on realism with the park as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this next. So go ahead and take a listen.
The feedback about what direction many of you want to see the park environments go in, that has been heard. So this year you can expect to see designs like ones that are more similar to courts that maybe you might see in the real world. And one more thing here on visuals is that there are also new lighting improvements and a fixed time of day. And the benefit of that is that it should reduce the amount of harsh shade and harsh sunlight that you may have noticed in the past when you were playing.
I'm glad to be hearing that because of the fact that, like I said earlier, I'm tired of seeing us playing in a mech facility. I'm tired of 2K bringing us environments that are not realistic at all. I'm glad that we're finally getting back to the roots of what 2K was when it comes to park. 2K14 Park, 2K15 Park is what it sounded like. 2K17 Park was cool too, but like, to me, 2K14, 15 Park was like the sweet spot of where the park needs to be at. So I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad to hear that the park's more realistic. Also, the shading and lighting, it's gonna be a lot better, which means that like it's gonna be easier to shoot and be able to see the rim better when you shoot, because that was also a problem. In my opinion, that was a problem. When it comes to like, when I was trying to shoot in that game in like 2K25, 24, especially 25 with like the pirate affiliation when I went over there, even though I was in like the mech facility the most because that was my affiliation. Even when I would go to the pirate ship or whatever, or just walk around the city in general, the shading and the lighting was so bad in that game, it was just terrible and I couldn't do it. But they finally fixing the lighting, like I said. They finally fixing the environment, making it better. That sounds great. But anyway, y'all, that's all I wanted to share off of this video. So if you agree, leave a like. Let me know what y'all think. More stuff coming. The news is coming out rapid fire now. At the time of this recording, we just got information about the My Career that came out yesterday. I dropped a video yesterday on My Career, so if you ain't seen it, go check it out. By the time this video is up, it's probably gonna be like 4 days since I've dropped. But with that being said, y'all, it's been your boy, A1 Andre. And until the next time, I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.